Yes, sir.
Congressman, my name is Tim Chester. I'm from Trumbull. I thank you for hosting this town hall meeting today. I've not attended a town hall meeting before. But perhaps like some other folks who are here, regardless of what political affiliation they have, over the last few years, what I have noted is a deterioration of so many things that made our country great. And the one thing that I want to bring up is, and I'm speaking to you as a person who, like many other people here, may have suffered their own difficulties the last few years financially. My family, we lost our home 3 years ago. I'm not here to say, what are you going to do about it? Or what is Congress going to do about it? Or what's Wall Street going to do about it? Or what is the President going to do about it? That was my responsibility. I signed a contract. I could not fulfill my obligations, even though I took every legal means to do that, to prevent that from happening. We lived in that home for 15 years. I don't find anybody else responsible for that problem. Thank you. And being self-responsible, taking responsibility, is one of the cornerstones that I believe our country was based on. Now, to relate that back to you and here, I'm not here to point a finger at you. I think all of us as Americans got to quit saying, well, as this gentleman was saying, forgive me, sir, but I take issue with you standing up and saying, let's blow the horn for the Democrats. Or anybody else who wants to say, let's blow the horn for the Republicans. What I find troubling right now mostly is that our leaders in Congress, and especially our president, are not being leaders and addressing the fact that our country, Iran is not our biggest problem. Al-Qaeda is not our biggest problem. Whether we all realize it, and I'm afraid most Americans don't really realize it, we are on the verge of economic catastrophe that means my kids will not see anything close to an American dream that most of us grew up. Whether we achieved it or not, at least we were able to pursue it. No one in Congress is standing up and addressing this point head on, point blank, honestly. Yes, but problems are complex. There are horribly difficult decisions to be made. But if they are, and some people, no matter what the decisions are going to be hurt by it or not like it. But that's what you were elected to do. And what I'm asking you today is, when are the people in Congress going to say, I put my country ahead of me being elected next time? Because our president is not, and he will not. Every word out of his mouth is about getting reelected, and not what's good for our country. And I want to know when you and the rest of the people in Congress are going to take the personal responsibility I started this off with and say, you know what, folks, these problems are so difficult, so problematic. Mr. President, you've got to stand up and say to the American people what is really happening, because we're about to lose our country. Amen.
Thank you for your comments. Of all the stories I hear a lot of stories like this gentleman's here, people who've lost their homes, and it's a traumatic thing. And I appreciate the way you framed it. I said about 10 minutes ago, there's a limit to what we as a government can do to create jobs. We can, like I said, we can hire firefighters, we can hire soldiers, we can build the highways, we can build, help build the internet, all the stuff that will hopefully help create jobs. But at the end of the day, and this is something that you don't hear politicians say a lot, at the end of the day, the ethic of personal responsibility that you're talking about has got to be a big part of restoring the greatness of this country.
Absolutely.
And the reason I say that, let me give you one example. You took a route that was very different from an awful lot of Americans, it sounds like. One of the big reasons, let's talk about the meltdown. A lot of the reason we've got the troubles and the fear and the anxiety about the future of this country is obviously where we've been economically since 2008. 50 million people lose their jobs. People losing their homes everywhere. That happened for a whole bunch of reasons that I won't spend any time on. Yes, it was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and yes, it was the banks. You know what else it was? It was that we had a generational shift in this country where we decided that it was okay to live way beyond our means as households. We did it as a government, and a lot of corporations did it too, whatever.
Absolutely.
When I remember the day at 103 Blue Rock Road in Wilmington, Delaware, where my grandparents grew up, when they burned their mortgage, and it was a huge celebration. My generation, I think I'm a little younger than you, that is a hobby,
Yeah.
right? Get that home equity line, buy the boat, buy the flat screen TV, max the credit cards. We as a government can't possibly solve the nation's problems unless the ethic of personal responsibility that you articulate somehow gets re-injected into our households. And I hesitate to say that because an awful lot of people did act very responsibly. And they're the ones who really feel pain right now, right? They acted responsibly. An awful lot of us did. So thank you for articulating that. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Himes, if I may, but just to answer my question,
Oh, yeah,
you would just address the personal responsibility of being American first as a person in Congress and says to our President, Mr. President, you are not leading.
Well, give me an example, because that's a very abstract statement.
It is. I
Give
agree.
me a policy example and I can address it.
I agree. The President needs to stand up in front of everybody in this country and say, we as the leaders of this country have not expressed fully the dire circumstances that we face and the incredibly difficult challenges that lie ahead, but we have to make decisions. Not all of you will like those decisions, but I am the leader and I have to declare what we have to do instead of saying, well, it's too difficult, we can't do it now, and I'm going to kick the can down the road because I want to get reelected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Look, I hesitate. I see the president about twice a year, and I sort of hesitate to, be his advocate. Constitutionally, my job is to be a check on the president, not to be an advocate for him.
But somebody has to stand up and say it, and you guys are the ones in power.
What I can do is I can model the kind of honesty that you're asking for right now.
Yes.
You heard me say something 20 minutes ago that you've never heard a politician say before. Because I could have stood here and I say, get rid of the loopholes, get rid of the oil company subsidies, and the things on private jets. And I said to you, it's also about some stuff that you really care about, the mortgage interest tax deduction. I'm trying. I'm trying to model that.
And you have expressed a very balanced approach, and I appreciate that, because it is not just Democrats or not just Republicans. It is us as Americans who are going to lose our country.
Got it.